Hello everyone! As you may know, I am not a digital artist. Up until now, I haven't even attempted much digital art because, well, I didn't have a drawing tablet, so my only option was to use the trackpad on my laptop. I've tried it before, it is not fun. Since I actually prefer the look of traditional art, I didn't really have much incentive to even try drawing digitally until about a month ago, I got an almost brand new Wacom tablet as a gift. I figured that using a real drawing tablet would instantly improve my digital art skills, but I quickly discovered that that was not the case. Digital art is a skill unto itself, and at first I was having a lot of trouble. So I decided to do one of those art challenges where you do a drawing a day for a month according to a list of prompts. I used Paint 3D for all these drawings, by the way, simply because that's what came installed on my computer. I found this challenge on Pinterest and I thought it would give me a pretty wide range of things to draw. Thank you to @LittleTacoStan for the art challenge, and I hope you all enjoy watching me struggle. For this first drawing, I decided to draw a dog rose. I honestly don't think I have a favorite flower, so I thought that I would choose one that had a cool meaning. In the Victorian era, dog roses meant joy and pain, which I thought was interesting, and they're also really pretty. So my zodiac sign is Scorpio, and honestly, I fit the description pretty well. I don't know how much I believe in astrology, but I do think it's kind of fun, and I also use it to help me choose birthdays for my characters. I had a much easier time with this drawing than the first one, and I'm actually pretty happy with it. I like the way the stars look like they're glowing. The third drawing prompt was a musical instrument. I originally wanted to draw a harp because I like the way I look and I've kind of always wanted to play one, but that proved to be too hard, so I tried to draw piano keys. And I got so frustrated because none of the keys looked like they were the same size, so I gave up and just drew some musical notes. This is Super Silky. You most likely don't recognize her as a book character because, well, she's from a book that I wrote and it hasn't been published. I was a little afraid to attempt to draw any human figures at this point, and I wanted to make sure that if I did a really bad job drawing a character, it would be my own and not someone else's. I always feel guilty if I don't do one of my favorite characters justice with my drawings. I don't really like doing fan art. Of all the drawings here, this is the one that I'm the least proud of. I don't know what I was thinking. I guess I was busy and I didn't want to draw any people, so I tried to draw the CD case of one of my favorite musical soundtracks, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, but I guess that didn't work, so I just wrote the title with the names of the composers. At this point, I got smart and I realized that I could actually take videos of myself drawing. Unfortunately, that means that you can see all the mistakes that I make and have to fix, and you can also see every time I accidentally press this button on the pen that shifts the canvas and makes the line go off in a completely different direction. So annoying. I decided to draw a pyramid because I would love to visit Egypt someday. This drawing is also not really my favorite. I don't really know which brush I should use to show the craters on the moon, and I don't think that I chose the right one. I do like the reflection on the water, though. Oh no, for this drawing prompt, I couldn't avoid drawing a person, and you can see why I was hesitant to try. For some reason, human faces are the hardest thing for me to draw digitally. I don't know if it's some sort of mental block or if it's because it's harder for me to draw smooth lines on the tablet than it is on paper, but this one was really difficult for me. And I also kind of missed the way I put texture in the hair with colored pencils, and I think I'm gonna have to keep practicing with this one. It's hard for me to choose my favorite animal, but I decided to draw a chicken since I wasn't going to draw one in any of the other prompts in the challenge. I guess Super Silky's a chicken, but silky chickens are an entirely different story and completely different when you're drawing them. I originally wanted to draw something a little more recent for this prompt, and by recent, I mean from the 19th century, but I couldn't find anything that I thought I could feasibly draw, so I decided to go very vintage. I did take this picture at a museum, and I wanted to crop it out of the frame, but for some reason, Paint 3D warped my entire drawing when I cropped it, like some parts didn't shift over, so I just decided to write some information about the object to fill the empty space. I was planning to list what it was made of, but then I realized that I actually don't know. I don't think that this is the crook and flail that they found on the mummy, so I think it's a different one. There are a lot of different places that I would consider my happy place, but the one that I was most eager to try drawing was Catalina Island. I visited the island a few times with my family, and it's one of my favorite places to go. I mean, we don't really go anywhere else, so I guess I'm lucky that I like it. I really thought that I would have to skip this prompt because I almost never play video games. I find them extremely stressful and they're just not my thing. But then I remembered that I played a game called Stardew Valley. It's the only game I've ever played that has been my speed. Basically, the premise of the game is that you have inherited your grandfather's farm, and the object of the game is to farm and make friends with the little characters who live in the town. I honestly just played it because I like the cutscenes and the fact that the characters had their own stories. I don't watch a lot of TV either, and I don't know if anyone would actually still consider this a TV show, but I really like the Horatio Hornblower series. It's a series of TV movies, and they're based on books, which I also really like, but they do require some concentration, and ideally, also a glossary of nautical terms. The movies are a little easier to follow if you don't know much about ships or sailing, because you can actually see what they're talking about. For this prompt, I drew my cat Allie, and I promise that is not only because I didn't want to draw another person. I love her so much, even when she sits down on my keyboard or knocks stuff off the shelves or does any of the other things that felines enjoy doing when they want to get into mischief. I was expecting this prompt to be really difficult for some reason, but it actually turned out to be one of my favorites. I like the sort of pastel gray color scheme, and this wasn't very difficult to draw. So I have a lot of pets actually, and it was a little hard to choose one to draw. Since I'd already drawn 2 chickens and a cat, I thought I would try drawing one of my hooded rats. Rats are interesting to draw because they have kind of a funny shape. This is my rat, Salt, and I name all of my rats after herbs and spices so that I can call them the Spice Girls. Salt really likes organizing things and always covers the food bowl with paper or cardboard or whatever else is in her cage. My favorite drink is tea, especially mint tea and green tea. I know in this picture it looks like black tea, and honestly I like that too, but mint is my favorite. I'm pretty happy with this picture because I like the shading and the pastel colors. So this is only partly a joke. I thought that maybe I could draw some kind of deep fear that I have, but then I realized that, well, it was probably going to end up being abstract and hard to represent in a drawing. I considered trying to draw onomatophobia, which has been kind of a problem for me throughout my life, but I thought that I would just try to be funny instead. No, I'm not really afraid of electronic dance music, that's what EDM stands for, but I don't really like it. I'm taking an audio production class, and I've heard enough EDM to last me a lifetime. I love anything peppermint flavored. Like I said, I love peppermint tea. I also love mint gum and, weirdly enough, breath mints. I don't know if anyone else likes to eat breath mints. I guess they aren't really candy, so I didn't want to draw those. Out of all the real candies, candy canes and those little round peppermints are probably my favorite. At first, this prompt seemed really overwhelming. As I said before, I don't really like to do my own versions of other people's work because I feel like I can't really do it justice, and it's hard for me to choose my favorite artist since there's so much artwork that I admire. Instead of trying and failing to copy a Kincaid painting, I decided to do an imitation of A Border by Mary Engelbreit. I actually think it turned out pretty cute, and it's fairly close to the original. My favorite memory is probably the time I was in a community theater production of The Addams Family. The Addams Family is one of my favorite musicals, and the whole experience was just so much fun. My first thought was to draw myself wearing my costume from the show, but of course that would require drawing a person and would probably end up looking scary, and not just because I played a ghost. Seriously, I actually scared myself looking in the mirror during dress rehearsal because I forgot I was wearing makeup. I added one of the lighted mirrors in the dressing room, which we almost never used because the lights would get really hot and then the whole room would smell like burnt hair. It was really gross. I put some of my stage makeup on the table and also goldfish crackers. Whenever I'm in a musical that has little kids in the cast, I bring goldfish crackers for them. I don't know what's going on with the perspective here, but I like it anyway. This is not really my favorite picture because I think it's a little boring, but yes, turquoise is my favorite gemstone. It's because of the color. It's my favorite color. It was hard for me to pick my favorite holiday because honestly I love holidays and I like them all for different reasons, but I decided on Halloween since dressing up in costumes is one of my favorite things in the world. I would seriously wear a costume every single day if I could, but unfortunately you do get a lot of strange looks if you go out in the middle of July wearing a hoop skirt. Halloween gives you the perfect excuse to wear whatever you want. I spent a lot of time deciding what mythical creature to draw here since they all seem like they would be difficult, but I finally decided on a unicorn because it seemed easiest. As you can see though, I really need to practice drawing horses, and I think I should have given him a mane and forelock. I do like the sparkles though. The obvious choice for this prompt would have been Earth, but I thought that that wouldn't be very creative. Of course my favorite planet is Earth, but my second favorite is Georgium Sidus, which means George's star. This planet has always been my favorite planet because I think the color is so pretty. You probably know this planet by a different name, which school children everywhere love to make fun of. If you ask me, the name should be officially changed to Georgium Sidus. There are a lot of really good musicals from the 80s, like Les Mis, Into the Woods, and Phantom of the Opera. I was planning just to draw one of those, but I realized that it probably wouldn't seem like something from the 80s to normal people who aren't total theater geeks, so I did some research by asking my mom what sort of stuff came from the 80s. She told me bright neon colors and also cassette tapes. I realized that I could have it both ways. The rainbow background reminded me of one of my very favorite 80s musicals, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. It was written in 1968, but it didn't make it to Broadway until 1982, so I figured that it still counted. It's a very silly show, but it brings me joy, and sometimes that's all you need from a musical. For this prompt, I thought that I would draw my hands as they have been for so long, poised over a drawing tablet. I know that a lot of people really don't like drawing hands, but honestly, I don't really mind it because you have two drawing references right in front of you. I decided to draw a forest for this prompt because I had already drawn a picture with an ocean, and for some reason, I've always really liked drawing pine trees. To me though, this doesn't look like a forest. The trees look posed like they're unnaturally spaced out. I think I'm going to call it a Christmas tree farm because that's what it looks like to me. This picture didn't take me very long to do, and I kind of felt like I was cheating. I think the cutest version of a yin-yang symbol I've seen are two cats cuddled up next to each other, but there was no way I was going to attempt that. I thought I would at least put a little bit of my own creative spin on it, so I used shades of blue instead of black and white. If you can't already tell, blue is my favorite color. I did some more research for this drawing and asked my mom what the 70s were like. She told me duller colors, records instead of cassette tapes, and really long lines at the gas station. I liked my 80s picture a lot, so I decided to do the same sort of background, only in duller colors, which I realized was perfect because the cover art for the 1974 version of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat has this kind of color scheme. And yes, in case you were wondering, that record is totally Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Of course, when I hear something you couldn't live without, my first thoughts are oxygen, water, food, gravity, but I'm assuming that that's not what this prompt means. Really, these are three things I couldn't live without: books, including sketchbooks, and music. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this. I promise I will keep practicing digital art, and I will probably be posting more of it in the future. Thanks so much for watching, and make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Bye!